In the #1 New York Times bestseller book, When Breath Becomes Air, Dr. Paul Kalanithi, he wrote about his vocation to be a healer, and he said, all of medicine trespasses into sacred spheres. So he said he learned that lesson sometimes the hard way. So one time there's this guy in a motorcycle accident, he was dying, and Dr. Paul tried to save his life. He was unsuccessful. And right after the guy dies, Dr. Paul, he admitted he was more interested in his ice cream sandwich. And he said about that incident, he said, I wondered if I was making more moral slides than strides. Another time, he had to help a mother with brain cancer, and he wrote this. I rushed through her questions, assured her that surgery would be a success, and assured myself that there wasn't enough time to answer her questions fairly. But why didn't I make the time? I feared I was losing sight of the singular importance of human relationships between doctor and patient. I have the utmost respect for doctors, nurses, healthcare providers. Whenever I go to the hospital, I always try to encourage them and say, thank you, you're doing a great job, because I think they are. But they're human, like all of us. And they're tempted to cut corners. And assisted suicide and euthanasia give them permission to cut those corners. Last week we mentioned how a doctor told Sheila Lewis, the mother, he said to her that she was being selfish and he was willing and quite happy to help her euthanize, kill her disabled daughter. Alan Nichols was euthanized with the help of hospital staff, even though he wasn't mentally fit to make that request. Today, we are in our third of the three-part series on euthanasia and assisted suicide. We've already said that there are two reasons why it's wrong. First, euthanasia is wrong because it goes against the natural intuition for life. Second, last week we said it goes against the standards of civilized society. And today, we add that it goes against the nature of medicine to preserve life. There are some doctors and pharmaceutical companies in the United States, they will not participate in capital punishment in the execution of prisoners. Why? Because they think, even if it's legal, it goes against their essence as healthcare providers, and it also erodes public trust. Let's meditate on two sayings of Jesus in the gospel. First, he says, if you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. If you lend to those from whom you hope to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much again. So it's the nature of medicine that we help people who sometimes cannot pay us back. That's great. So when we protect people, the elderly specifically, the dying, the mentally ill, when we protect them from euthanasia, we're helping people who probably can't help us back. That's great. And we're never, like we said last week, we're never just going to give hospital beds to the strong and then neglect the weak. No, we're going to help everyone. Second, Jesus says, do not judge and you will not be judged. This is one of Jesus' most misunderstood sayings. He's obviously not telling us never to make moral judgments. Why? Because later he says, if another disciple sins, you must rebuke the offender. So obviously he wants us to make a judgment about someone's actions so that we can correct. And finally he says, do not judge by appearances, but judge with right judgment. So when we take these three sayings together, how are we supposed to apply them? Never judge another person's heart, because you can't see it unless you have evidence that they've revealed that. You can judge their actions, but first, judge your own actions first, and then you can properly judge theirs. A number of us have heard of the person Martin Pistorius from South Africa. I'm going to show you a 2.5 minute video. And keep in mind three things when you watch the video. First, it's understandable that his mother wanted him to die. But she even judges herself. She shouldn't have said that to him. Second, a lot of healthcare professionals were abusive, according to Martin. And we judge correctly. That's not right. And third, even though Martin offered nothing to society, some people still treated him as sacred.
He was a healthy 12-year-old growing up in South Africa when he went home sick from school one day.
He never ever got better.
His body weakened, he lost control of his muscles, stopped communicating. Doctors believed it was a neurodegenerative disease and told his parents he was unaware of the world around him. But that was wrong. For nearly a decade, he says, he was awake, but no one noticed.
For so many years I was like a ghost. It was like I wasn't there. I was invisible.
This is Martin today.
This is how you communicate now?
Yes.
He speaks by typing into a computer that voices his words. Because that takes time, we gave him some of our questions in advance.
You must have overheard so many conversations.
Yes, many times. You get to see and hear things that you probably never would. Things like what people really think and how they really are when nobody is watching.
Like one night when he heard his mom in a moment of despair.
I said to him one day, "I hope you die." And I had no idea that he understood that. And I'm very, very sorry I said it.
While I was very sad and upset by what she said, I understood where that was coming from. My mother often felt that she wasn't a good mom, and one of the hardest things for me was I couldn't tell her that, "No, you are doing great. She is a good mother."
Martin lived at home with his parents, but was regularly in care centers, where he says at times he was subjected to abuse, verbal, physical, and sexual.
There was never a care home that I was in where there wasn't some degree of abuse. Even if it didn't happen to me, I witnessed it happening to others.
But he says most of his caregivers were good people, like the therapist who noticed a glimmer in Martin's eye 10 years into his illness. Tests revealed he could communicate.
I remember feeling happy, like wow, but also thinking to myself, what next?
As your mind grew stronger, did your body also get stronger?
Yes, my body slower got stronger too. It took a massive amount of work, blood, sweat and tears, literally over many years.
He went to college, even learned to drive using an adapted car. And in 2008, he met a friend of his sister's, Jonah.
I just thought he's really attractive.
So if the woman who was helping him, the therapist, if she had believed in assisted suicide or euthanasia, she wouldn't have invested that time to help him to get better. So euthanasia and assisted suicide, they kill creativity, they kill the possibility of finding solutions. I'll give you another example of this. Dr. Paul Brand is famous for helping people with leprosy in India. And in his book, he writes that a lot of people with leprosy have deformities in their hands. And he says it's not because the leprosy is eating away at their flesh, it's because they can no longer feel. So they do risky things like putting their hands into boiling water. So he worked hard and he found a solution. He's going to give them restorative hand surgery, and he taught them not to do dangerous actions. His wife was also very creative. She noticed that a number of people with leprosy had bad eyesight. And one of the reasons is because they never blinked. Because they can't feel, they wouldn't blink to moisten their eyes. So their eyes would go dry. Another thing they did is they'd rub their eyes with their calloused hands, and it would just damage the eyes. So at first, she taught them to try to blink consciously, but that didn't work. So she found another solution. She got them to chew gum. And by chewing gum, you would involuntarily blink. Here's the point again, right? When you believe in assisted suicide, euthanasia, you don't invest that time into helping people. You just quickly find a solution, they die. But these people don't believe in it, so they invest time and they get creative. And so the nature of medicine is to help people to find solutions. There are 4 typical objections to everything we've said for the past 2 weeks and today. First objection, what if the person wants to die? Well, just because someone wants something, it doesn't make it right. A lot of young people want to commit suicide. We stop them. And we pointed out 2 weeks ago, when we address the underlying problem, the desire to die goes away. Second, what if someone is in great pain? And the answer is don't kill them. Help them. We've already seen that in Canada. If we are allowed to kill people who are in pain, it's gone all the way now. We're allowed to suggest to people who are healthy, they should kill themselves. So it's not just a slippery slope, it's a cliff. And we've fallen off of it. Dr. Michael Brescia, a devout Catholic at Calvary Hospital in New York, he said, "At Calvary, we never ever hastened death purposely. We'll argue, we love you enough to never kill. I'm never going to tell someone they have to suffer. I will work to alleviate their pain. We treat 6,000 patients a year, and no one, after they have been here for 24 hours, asks for assisted suicide." Third objection, some people feel useless, they feel like burdens. The truth is, the disease is the burden, not the person. So we have to help them change their perspective. And fourth, fear of a bad death. And the answer is palliative care. Because of everything we've said for the past few weeks, we can understand why the Catechism says this. Thus, an act or omission which causes death in order to eliminate suffering constitutes a murder, gravely contrary to the dignity of the human person and to the respect due to the living God, his creator. So euthanasia and assisted suicide are grave matter. If we participate in it knowingly and willingly, it's a mortal sin. Now let's say we participated in someone's suicide in the past, euthanasia, and let's say if we didn't know this, then of course it would be no sin. Let's say we did know it was wrong and we still did it, then we want to go to confession, and Jesus can, and of course Jesus wants to forgive us. If anyone ever asks us to witness their document for assisted suicide, remember, just say to them gently, "I cannot do that. I love you too much to kill you." We've got our 40 Days for Life sign-up cards in your pews again this week. Please do think about giving an hour or more of your time to protecting the preborn. Please do so with a friend. You can see the dates right there. We've got a few more weeks to sign up. And Jesus' words apply to us. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? And so this is a great opportunity to do something beautiful and get nothing in return. It's great. That's the kind of love Jesus is calling us to. And as Liera mentioned last week, we're not only aiming that all of us who have done it before do it again this year, we're aiming for 100 new participants. So please, everyone, please think about it. I know it's a sacrifice, but it's beautiful. Finally, next week, as we have done for the past 4 years, we're going to show a few graphic photos of abortion and a video of abortion, just so that we know what is it really about, so that we know the truth. And if you or some of your young children don't want to see it, feel free to close your eyes, look down, or go to another church next weekend. Let's do our part to defend the natural intuition for life, the standards of civilized society, and the nature of medicine to preserve life.